A spring rain washes away the splendor of Lingtai Mountain. Li Suingzhen, dressed in a white monk's robe and carrying a bamboo basket, walked over to the sound of birds chirping. Before the people arrived, they heard the voice of Grandma Shen from Sujia village, which came slowly from Lingtai Temple. Master Huikong, our eldest miss from the Su family really likes little Master Suingzhen. Our Lady said that as long as you are willing to persuade little Master Suingzhen to return to the secular world, she will donate 100,000 taels of silver to Lingtai Temple. 100,000 taels. What's the matter? Are you still worried that our eldest miss will fail to pay her bills? The Su family is a big family in this area. You know that, Master Huikong. 100,000 snowflake silver is just a matter of moving your fingers. Amitabha, that's not what the poor monk meant, but the Zhang family next door donated 120,000 taels of silver. Money is not a problem. As long as you can talk to the little Master Suingzhen, our Su family has prepared an extra gift for you. How? Hey, Xian Xin, you're back. Li Suingzhen didn't say a word, walked past the two with a dark face, and walked straight into the gate. Granny Shen stared at the back. This person is good looking, and it's not a good thing to be angry. If you can get a chance from the little Master Suingzhen, even if you let the King of Hell hook his soul, it will not be a waste of life. Hui Kong said proudly, that's right, my disciple, my practice is not very good, but in terms of appearance, it is difficult to find an opponent in the entire Great Zhou. Granny Shen wiped the saliva from the corner of her mouth and pleaded as if to please, Master Huikong, you said, I'm waiting for your good news. Amitabha, no problem. Li Suingzhen had just come to his meditation room, and the Master Huikong, with his hands on his back, chased after him with a smile. Suingzhen, why did you just ignore the Master? I won't return to the secular world, and I won't join any Zhang family and Su family. Li Suingzhen unloaded the bamboo basket, took out a wounded fiery red fox from it, and started dressing it with medicine. Hui Kong sighed softly. Suingzhen, it's not that the Master is cruel, it's really that you have no relationship with my Buddha. 5 years ago, I rescued you, shaved you, and got you into the void. In the past 5 years, you haven't learned a single Dharma, and you're powerless as a teacher. Anyway, I won't join the clan. If you want to join the clan, please do it yourself. Li Suingzhen spoke of her last stubbornness. Master Huikong shook his head and left with a sigh. Originally, I wanted to renovate the main hall. If I was lucky, I would be able to reshape the golden body for the Buddha. Now it seems that there is no hope. Cool. At this time, Li Suingzhen had finished dressing the little fox, and the little fox rubbed his hand affectionately. Li Suingzhen felt a little warm in his heart, and lightly stroked the little fox's head. Go, don't be naughty in the future. The little fox let out a murmur, jumped up and down, and left the meditation room. And at this moment, a voice suddenly came from Li Suingzhen's mind. Rescue the little fox, merit plus 17. Complete the achievement of one good deed every day, the 5-year merit period ends, and the merits are settled. Hearing this voice, Li Suingzhen was stunned for a moment, and then he couldn't help feeling a little emotional. 5 years. It's been 5 years. This golden finger has finally been activated. Do you know how I spent the past 5 years? Traveling to this world where demons are rampant, Li Suingzhen lives in Lingtai Temple, a Buddhist holy land in Canghai City, guarding the sect of Nyuta, with thousands of volumes of scriptures, but he has never been able to practice. The golden finger you carry with you, you still have to do a daily charitable task, and you have to do it for 5 years. Without cultivation, he can only rely on his daily life to save small animals, help grandma to walk 2 steps, help widows to carry water, persuade women who have lost their footing to be good, and complete tasks little by little. You must also refuse the covetousness of the coquettish down the mountain, and beware of the coveted monsters in the mountains. Finally, today, the golden finger was successfully activated. Li Suingzhen hurriedly checked the golden lotus of merit and virtue, and there were several lines of small characters on it. The above is the information of Li Suingzhen. Li Suingzhen, the holder of the golden lotus of merit. Race, human. Daoxing, none. Skills, none. Merit points, 108, 4618. How to use the golden lotus of merit. Consuming merit points can directly improve the level of the practice. It's amazing. This golden finger is at least 18 centimeters long. Li Suingzhen's expression brightened. The suffering of the past 5 years has not been in vain. You must know that cultivating the exercises depends on one's understanding. If one's understanding is not enough, one may not be able to cultivate a single exercise to the state of great perfection in one lifetime. Li Suingzhen, like Li Suingzhen, belongs to the waste wood among the waste wood. No cultivation method can even get in the door. Now, with the golden lotus of merit, he can directly improve the level of the exercises, so he doesn't need to practice the exercises anymore. He only needs to raise the level of the exercises, and then he can successfully use the exercises to improve his strength or fight. Go to the Tibetan Scriptures Pavilion to have a look. Li Suingzhen walked quickly to the Tibetan Scriptures Pavilion. It is the morning now, the brothers and sisters are all practicing in the martial arts field, and there are not many people in the Sutra Collection Pavilion. Li Suingzhen first learned the Heart Sutra. Practice and practice, first practice the Tao. If there is no true Qi in the body, how can one cultivate? There are thousands of Buddhist practices, and the Heart Sutra is naturally countless. Each temple also has its own merits and deeds. The more famous ones are like the Diamond Sutra of the King Kong Temple, the Bodhi Sutra of the Bodhi Temple, and the Yi Jinjing of the Shaolin Temple. The Lingtai Temple is the Fudo Mingwang Sutra. Anyone who is a disciple of Lingtai Temple can practice. These treasures of the temple do not set cultivation conditions for the disciples of this temple. Because the disciples of this monastery do not have the consent of the abbot and the chairpersons, they will never return to secular life. Besides, it's useless to read it. If you don't learn it, you'll forget it after reading it again. This is a small trick to keep the temple treasures. In addition, the treasure of the temple is called the treasure of the temple because it is difficult to learn. Countless disciples may not be able to learn how many levels in their lifetime. If there is one, it will also carry forward the heritage of the temple. The temple is eager for the disciples to learn. The sect also has many heart sutras for common exercises, which are used by disciples with poor aptitude to practice. Li Suingzhen activated the golden lotus of merit and virtue, which can directly improve the level of cultivation techniques, and the merit points are limited, so he only needs to learn the best ones. He quickly found the Sutra of the King of the Fudo Ming, mobilized the golden lotus of merit, and branded the Sutra of the King of the Fudo Ming into it. Then click directly to upgrade. The merit point is like the magma erupting from the crater, and it can't be stopped. Consumption of 1 million merit points can raise the Sutra of the Unmoved King to the 108th floor of the Great Perfection Realm. So expensive! In one fell swoop, he consumed more than half of his merit. But it's worth it. The Fudo Mingwang Sutra is the treasure of Lingtai Temple. Master Huiyu has practiced for more than 100 years, and it is said that he has not cultivated to the 50th floor. With 1 million merit points, he can instantly cultivate to the 108th floor. Li Suingzhen clicked without hesitation. Afterwards, he folded his hands together, sat cross-legged, and began to receive the indoctrination of the Fudo Mingwang Sutra. Nan Wu, Sanmendo, Fury Luo. As he recited the scriptures, his body was full of infuriating energy, mixed with the golden yellow scripture energy. In Li Suingzhen's body, it seemed to become a long dragon, came to life, and moved rapidly through the meridians in Li Suingzhen's body. As time passed bit by bit, a faint golden glow appeared on the back of Li Suingzhen's head, like a golden wheel. Immediately, around Li Suingzhen, lotuses began to grow everywhere, and they continued to spread out. In the Mahavira Hall, the head of the boxing academy, who was in charge of the night watch, and several disciples were chanting sutras and chanting Buddhas. Suddenly, one of the disciples couldn't help but said, "Master, look at it." The head of the boxing academy opened his eyes and couldn't help but shrink his pupils. The next second, his whole person's breathing couldn't help but start to rush. From the outside to the inside, the eyes are full of golden lotuses, slowly growing, blooming, and spinning. The image of the golden lotus born from the earth. This is the sutra of the unmoved king of the great perfection that someone has cultivated. Nanmu, Sanmendo. At this time, many Buddha statues in the Mahavira Hall actually opened their mouths to sing the Dharma at the same time, and the Buddha's light on their bodies was prosperous. All the Buddha's light finally condenses the sky and forms a huge Buddha statue, holding a sword in the left and a pearl in the right, and continues to spread, reaching the sky, reaching a height of 10,000 feet. The golden Buddha statue even suppressed the sunlight, and the Buddha's light was like a sword, tearing apart the darkness in the dense mountains and forests, illuminating everything. Countless demons hiding in the mountains and forests, under this Buddha's light, could not help but let out a scream, or fled with serious injuries, or mourned on the ground. Some demons with weak cultivation even turned into fly ash. The monks were all awakened by surprise. Huivan, the abbot of Lingtai Temple, and the head of the congregation rushed to the Mahavira Hall immediately. They were very excited when they saw the Buddha statue singing. Thousands of Buddhas sing. Who is cultivating the Sutra of the Unmoved King? And he has even reached the state of great perfection. A supreme elder was so excited that he burst into tears. It's been 1,000 years. The Fudo Mingwang Sutra of the Great Perfection has finally reappeared in the world. The Buddha blesses you. Amitabha. Everyone was shocked for a while, and then Abbot Huivan said, "If you can cultivate the Dodo Mingwang Sutra to the realm of great perfection, the other party must be the eminent monk of my Lingtai temple, maybe, the other party may even be a group of existences from 1,000 years ago. Because, without hundreds of thousands of years of ascetic study, it is absolutely impossible to cultivate the Fudo Mingwang Sutra to this level. However, those seniors from 1,000 years ago have almost all been wiped out." Who is this senior? Abbot Huivan shook his head. "I'm afraid it will be difficult to find. Someone as high as him has already cut off the world. If he doesn't ask about world affairs, he naturally wouldn't want to come out and meet us." The head of the boxing academy couldn't help but sigh. "Hey! It's a pity, it would be great if you could know who this senior is. Master Zishan of King Kong Temple, it is said that he will leave the customs in a few days to discuss Buddha with various temples. If this senior from my temple can come forward, Lingtai Temple will definitely come out on top." Abbot Huivan's eyes flickered twice, but in the end he just sighed. "I can't force it. Go away." He opened his mouth slowly, and all the disciples retreated, but the discussions were endless. In the future, Lingtai Temple, I am afraid it will no longer be peaceful. In the room, Li Suingzhen's mouth slightly raised. It worked. The 108th floor of the Great Perfection Realm's Fudo Mingwang Jing, in his body, turned into a giant dragon, constantly wandering in the meridians. Powerful. The level of the exercises determines the speed of cultivation. I wonder how fast I can cultivate. The world is divided by Taoism. 1,000 years into the river, in the river, not afraid of the waves. 2,000 years into the mountains and seas, flying over the mountains to explore the sea, like taking things out of a bag. 3,000 years in the sky, flying in the sky and escaping the ground, omnipotent. 4,000 years of good fortune can turn stones into gold, and there are thousands of Dharma images. 5,000 years in the universe, thousands of miles away, the thought of killing someone. The 6,000-year-old Xiaocheng dragon elephant was reborn from a drop of blood, and the primordial spirit is hard to destroy. 7,000 years of reincarnation, reversing yin and yang, healing people, flesh and bones. The 8,000-year-old Mahayana dragon elephant is free and easy to travel around the world, no one can match it. 9,000 years of terrestrial gods, all methods in the mortal world, it is hard to hurt them. After 10,000 years of calamity, Taoism calls it the Mahayana immortal monarch of the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and Buddhism calls it the position of Arhat of great freedom. They are all existences that transcend the body and mortal fetus, transcend birth, aging, sickness and death, and live the same life as the heavens. Li Suingzhen doesn't even have the entry level now, everything has just started. However, he now has the Fudo Mingwang Sutra of the Great Perfection State, and his future achievements should not be low. I don't know, is there any hope for me in the future to achieve Arhat fruit karma? Li Suingzhen murmured, and then shook his head. What do you think so much about? Cultivation of Buddhahood must first cultivate the mind, and only then can one attain Bodhi. Just work hard, leave the rest to the will of God. Because the Dodo Mingwang Sutra in the Great Perfection realm has reached an extraordinary state and can cultivate on his own, Li Suingzhen does not need to continue to meditate and cultivate. After going out for a walk, Li Suingzhen couldn't help being a little surprised when he heard that many monks were talking about the great Buddha and the Dharma sign of the Golden Lotus. He actually made such a big move? Fortunately, no one found out that he did it by himself. Li Suingzhen didn't want his peaceful life to be disrupted. He just wanted to practice quietly and slowly improve his strength. In the future, I should try my best to keep a low profile. The surrounding disciples were still discussing what happened just now, but Li Suingzhen was thinking about how to obtain merits next. He doesn't need to think about cultivating the practice, anyway. The Golden Lotus of Merit can directly improve the practice to the realm of great perfection, so he just needs to find a way to get the merit. Without merit, the Golden Lotus of Merit cannot function. Good deeds are divided into large and small good deeds. Healing sickness and saving people, saving souls, helping people to clear their minds and delusions, save the dead. Even chanting sutras and chanting Buddha, eliminating the karma between heaven and earth, you can get merits, but the number is very small, basically only 1 or 2 points. To subdue demons and eliminate demons, save people's livelihood, save the country and save the people, is a great good. But, with my current cultivation base, forget it, little monk is not worthy. It's better to find a master first, and let him add some work such as saving the undead for himself in the future, and he should be able to quickly obtain some merits. Thinking of this, Li Suingzhen quickly found his master. He is unraveling the signature for a lady. The donor's hand is slightly rough, not as smooth as last time. I think I have been tired a lot in recent days. Master observes meticulously. Recently, the little girl picked up some female celebrities to subsidize her family. She often stays late at night. My husband always wants to, always have a good time, so he is a little tired and not in good spirits. The poor monk's view of the donor's chi and blood is somewhat depleted, so pay attention to rest. Women are yin, stay up too much late, and yin is prosperous and yang is deficient, which is more likely to provoke ghosts and evil things. The poor monk has a lighted peace charm here, which can be worn on the body to ward off evil spirits. Thank you, Master. Don't be polite, the donor is 10 copper coins of the peace talisman, and the money in the merit box on the right. The next one. Li Suingzhen stepped forward. Master. Master Huihyo glanced at him, picked up the tea beside him, and took a sip. What's up? I want to go out with my senior brothers to escape. Pfft. Cough, cough. Master Huihyo accidentally choked on himself, and immediately said, that won't work. Why? What do you think transcendence is? Exodus is to calm the resentment in the hearts of the dead resentful ghosts, let them let go of their grievances and go to the western paradise of Elysium. Wrong. Wrong. Huihyo shook her head. Kayadu is not a worldly way, Kayadu is fighting and killing. Those resentful ghosts had many injustices during their lifetimes, seldom read books, were ignorant, and had rigid and stubborn personalities. When they were alive, they were just ordinary people. They couldn't do evil, so they could only swallow their voices and be good people. After death, you have spiritual power, so what? Have you ever heard of the villain's success? Without 2 brushes, do you still want to surpass them? It's almost as good as feeding them. Li Xian's brows furrowed. He didn't expect that transcendence would be so dangerous. He thought he only needed to recite sutras and chanting Buddha. But if you think about it carefully, the essence of the way of heaven is that the weak eat the strong, and it is almost a daydream to expect the strong to obey the weak. And even if there are, 1 out of 100 is considered the blessing of the Buddha. What about the remaining 99? So you still need 2 brushes. Then how far do I have to go to save the undead? Well, let's talk about it after you have cultivated the Taoism for a year or 2. Reading www.yuyuganshu.com. After practicing the Taoism for a year or 2, you can already practice the Buddhist exercises, drive the Buddhist spells, and deal with some who have just died. Ordinary resentful souls are not a problem. Okay, I get it. Li Suingzhen said goodbye to his master, turned around and returned to the meditation room to practice again. However, he did not completely obey what the master said. 1 or 2 years of Taoism can only deal with ordinary resentful souls that have just died, and they must also be equipped with some external forces such as exercises, magic weapons, and charms. If this one encounters a slightly stronger resentful soul, wouldn't it be dead? Anyway, as long as you accumulate enough merit, you can directly improve the practice to a certain level, and you don't need to practice the practice every day like others. So there is no need to rush to do great merits. The Fudo Mingwang Sutra, who has cultivated to the realm of great perfection, will practice on his own every moment. Wait until the cultivation base has risen to a certain level, and then do some great merits such as transcendence. The perfect plan. Just like that, time flies by, and in the blink of an eye, it will be half a year later. On the side of the waterfall in the back mountain of Lingtai Temple, the waterfall poured down, splashing water and mist. Beside the water pool, Li Suingzhen, with a handsome face, finished meditating and chanting for a day, and slowly opened his eyes. The 2 eyes, like purple lightning, are captivating. The white monk's robe, wet by the mist, clings to his upper body, showing lines of muscles that are cut like a knife. The King's Sutra of the Great Perfection is really amazing. In half a year, I broke through the 400 years of Taoism, and I practiced for 1 day on average, and I can get as many as 2 years of Taoism. Now, facing the spectre, even if I don't have a spell or magic weapon, I should have the power to protect myself, right? The corner of Li Suingzhen's mouth slightly raised, and sure enough, his strength was the most reassuring. Now that Daoxing has been established, it's time to learn some techniques of subduing demons and eliminating demons. It's not that you can't conquer demons and eliminate demons if you simply have a cultivation base, but you don't have any exercises, but the power you can exert is limited. Just like you can hit 500 kilograms with 1 punch, if you only use your fist, it will still be 500 kilograms. But if you learn the exercises, you can increase the weight from 500 kilograms to 1000 kilograms or even higher. Moreover, it may consume even less infuriating energy. Thinking like this, Li Suingzhen came to the Tibetan Sutra Pavilion. Today, there are more people in the Tibetan Sutra Pavilion. But several young novice monks were surrounding an old master, listening to him explain the Buddhist practice. My Buddhist sect is divided into 2 sects, Zen and Tantric. Jinggong Temple and Shaolin Temple belong to Tantric Buddhism. Bodhi Temple and Lingtai Temple belong to Zen Buddhism. Each temple has its own means of pressing the bottom of the box. In addition to the Heart Sutra, there is also a fighting method for squatting the temple. Like the inextinguishable golden body of King Kong Temple, the Tathagata palm of Shaolin, the thousand-hand Tathagata of Bodhi Temple, and the immortal King Mantra of our Lingtai Temple, they are all well-known treasures for eliminating demons. Master Huineng, which of the 4 top fighting techniques of the Buddhist sect is stronger? He. Since ancient times, there has been nothing in literature and no second in martial arts. Each exercise has its own advantages and disadvantages, and it is impossible to say which one is the best. Like the indestructible golden body of King Kong Temple, it is mainly to strengthen the physical body, which can strengthen the physical body to the extreme, prevent demons from invading, retreat from all evils, and cultivate to the realm of great perfection. It is said that only a drop of blood can be resurrected. Hey! The little novices couldn't help but gasped in unison, shocked. Master Huineng, what about the Fudoming King mantra of Lingtai Temple? My Lingtai Temple's Fudo Mingwang mantra is also an extremely powerful method for subduing demons and eradicating demons. There are Fudo Mingwang mantras. Fudo Mingwang's 9-character mantra Cut the Sun. Fudo Mingwang Fire Realm Curse. King Fudo Ming casts the curse. The Fudo Ming King Residual Food Curse. The Fudo Mingwang Mercy Curse. Fudo Mingwang Zan. Do not move Mingwang's Heart Curse. From subduing demons and eliminating demons to exorcising disasters and blessings, from capturing seals to saving sentient beings, they have everything. I can't say which one is stronger, but it is said that if you can learn the 4 Heart Sutras and the 4 great practices of Buddhism, you will be able to comprehend the Supreme Buddha Dharma. Hey, then can we cultivate? Of course you can, as long as you are a disciple of my Lingtai Temple, you can practice. But the problem is, the Fudo Mingwang mantra is a profound martial art, and if you want to learn it, it is as difficult as going to the sky. Lao Na has been in Lingtai Temple for more than 40 years, and his aptitude is acceptable. He has only reached the 10th level, and it can only be regarded as a small entry. You little dolls, it is better to practice some ordinary fists and swords, on the contrary, there is more hope for success. Wow, it's so difficult. That's not true. Cultivation is like ascending to the sky, only diligent study can do it. There are 10,000 realms in the world. Rivers, mountains, and seas, sky, fortune, universe, little dragon elephant, reincarnation, Mahayana dragon elephant, land immortals, and Mahayana immortals. Daoseeing 1,000 years ago can only be regarded as laying the foundation. After 1,000 years of Daoseeing, one can step into the river realm. After that, every 1,000 years of Daoseeing can be regarded as a great realm. If you want to become an immortal, you have to do it for 10,000 years, not to mention you have to cross the 9 heavens thunder tribulation, and you will die. People in the world have limited aptitudes. If they can reach the river realm in their lifetime, they will already be blessed by the Buddha. The old man has practiced for more than 40 years, and he has already trained to the 9th level of the Dodo Mingwang Sutra, but he has only been in Taoism for more than 120 years. The crowd was sighing for a while. Although Li Suingzhen knew the level of cultivation, but listening to it at this moment, he was still full of sighs. One can only be regarded as stepping into the river realm after 1,000 years of Taoism. After every 1,000 years, one can break through a realm, and after 10,000 years, one can transcend tribulation and become immortal. It seems that I have to work harder. However, what he is more interested in is the Supreme Buddha Dharma composed of the 4 Heart Sutras and the 4 great practices. Number 1 in the world, very tempting. He found the Fudo Mingwang mantra, imprinted it on the golden lotus of merit, and said in his heart, the golden lotus of merit, consumes 70,000 merit points, and enhances the unmoving king mantra. The merit points quickly dissipated, and the level of the unmoved King Ming mantra was also increasing continuously. In the blink of an eye, he successfully broke through to the 10th floor. It's a pity, the merit is not enough to directly break through to the 108th floor. But it doesn't matter. People need to learn to be content, and they have already obtained the 108th floor of the Fudo Mingwang Sutra. How many people in the world can do it? Just keep on accumulating merit. Li Suingzhen's mentality is very good. Before, he was just an ordinary person, and he was able to accumulate so much merit. Now that he has cultivated, he will gain merit faster. Maybe, with the merits that he has accumulated in the future, he can also instantly learn the secret techniques of keeping temples from several other major Buddhist sects. Come on, Amitabha. Senior brother, if you are optimistic, can you show me the Fudo Mingwang curse? At this time, a little junior brother stepped forward with an uneasy face, and Li Suingzhen handed him the Fufu Mingwang curse in his hand. Take it. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Thank you, brother. Afterwards, he took the exercises and went to study with a few friends. Li Suingzhen didn't spend all his 80,000 merit points on the Fudo Mingwang mantra. If he went down the mountain to perform some tasks, he would inevitably have to run errands. He had to practice some light work for himself, otherwise, no matter how strong his fighting power was, running would be tiring. But there is one point: when it comes to fighting skills, the Fudo Mingwang mantra is indeed a good thing, but when it comes to light skills, Lingtai Temple really doesn't have much to offer. Shaolin has Qinggong for floating on water, and Bodhi Temple has Buddha's light escape, all of which are famous all over the world. They are all related to Taoism's Liuyuding and Liujia Shenxing method, Tai Shenbu, Yin Yang escape method. This may have something to do with the worship of Lingtai Temple. As for Duke Ming, he doesn't even bother to move himself. What do you expect from his inheritance? It would be great to have one. In the end, Li Suingzhen chose a kung fu that is fast and easy to walk. After being branded, 1,000 merit points were consumed, and it was directly promoted to the 12th floor. No way, Lingtai Temple's Qinggong is really rubbish. This vigorous walking is as light as flying, and there are only 12 layers in total, 1,000 merit points, and it is directly raised to the top. Anyway, it's a light exercise, it's always faster than the energy-saving effort of running. When I have the opportunity in the future, I will see if I can learn the Buddha's light escape in Bodhi Temple, or the water float in Shaolin Temple. Now let's go over it with a brisk walk. After learning the exercises, Li Suingzhen went to find his master, Master Huihu, and arranged for him tasks such as transmuting resentful souls. It's been half a year, a full half a year of development. Time to go out and have a blasting opening. At the gate of Lingtai Temple, Master Huihu is still unraveling the signs for others. Master, Wanzhong has always had nightmares recently, and I don't know why. Have you been to the place of fireworks and Willow Lane recently? The master is really a god. To be honest, late Shang recently. I really fell in love with a brothel girl, so I often go to have fun. Fireworks Liuxiang is a place of right and wrong. You are a scholar with a weak physique. If you don't restrain yourself, you have emptied your body's yang energy, and you have little nightmares. If you are infected with evil and charming things, you are afraid that you will lose your life. The scholar's yintang was already a little dark, but now it seems to be even darker, and he hurriedly said, Master, is there a way to save it? The poor monk can give you a heart-clearing mantra that has been enlightened. You can chant it a lot, and you can drive away the evil spirits in your body. You don't go to the fireworks and willow alleys. As time goes by, your physique will gradually improve, and it will naturally recover. Thank you, Master Huihu. No need to thank you much, the consecration is free, but the King's In mantra costs 100 wen, please put in the right-hand merit box. The next one. Li Suingzhen stepped forward. Master, I have been cultivating for 2 years. Oh. You have been cultivating for 2 years so quickly, and you have only been cultivating for half a year. Huihu felt quite surprised. Li Suingzhen's cultivation speed can't be said to be fast. It can only be regarded as a medium level in Lingtai Temple. The problem is that he used to be a waste, but now he has cultivated for 2 years in half a year, and he seems to be very talented. In this case, 4 years of cultivation in 1 year, 40 years in 10 years, and 400 years of cultivation in 100 years. Good guy, this kid has a bright future. Maybe in the future, there is still hope to surpass himself. After all, he is now 70 years old, and he entered the world at 10, and he has only cultivated for 250 years. Fortunately, I didn't let him return to the vulgar at the beginning, otherwise, I would have lost a mediocre middle-aged genius in my room. The disciples are stupid, but the masters teach them well. Hu squinted her eyes and smiled. This is also due to your own hard work and cultivation. Since you have broken through 2 years of cultivation, then go to the task room to pick up some tasks. They will distribute magic weapons and spells to you. After the task is completed, you can get some resources such as medicinal pills to help you improve your cultivation. Yes. Li Suingzhen turned to leave, but Hu called him. Wait a moment. Afterwards, he took off the bracelet from his hand and glanced at it rather reluctantly. This bracelet has been with me for more than 20 years. Listening to me chanting sutras and chanting Buddha all day long, it has become quite Buddha nature, and it is much stronger than ordinary magic weapons. If you encounter a ghost, it can save your life. Thank you, Master. Go ahead, you may be nervous and make mistakes the first time, just calm down. Yes. Li Suingzhen said goodbye to the master, and soon came to the task room. Hello, I want to take a mission. A senior brother from the mission room quickly greeted him. Oh, it's junior brother Suingzhen under the auspices of Hu. What is your cultivation level now? 2 years of Taoism. 2 years of Daoxing, you can take some ordinary tasks such as supernatural. Is this your first time accepting a task? Yes. If this is the first time you take a mission, I suggest that you ask a senior to teach you, but the reward for the mission is his. In this way, you can learn faster, and the seniors you invite are basically around 10 years of Daoism, so they are relatively safe. After all, things like overcoming are usually very simple, but occasionally, if you encounter a troublesome matter, it will be fatal. No need, my master gave me a life-saving magic weapon, just go by myself. 10 years of Daoxing is not enough for the Daoxing that he cultivated in 5 days, and he has to give him resources. I'm afraid this is not the brain water. Okay, then, come and get the quest artifacts and spells. Li Suingzhen took a back basket, which is the kind of bamboo basket that scholars carry in previous TV dramas. There is a small pergola above his head, which looks quite unique. The back basket can hold some fast food and water, as well as a brass bowl and a set of brass and mahogany wooden fish. A string of peach rosary beads, and 3 charms to subdue demons and scare ghosts. With these things on his back and the address, Li Suingzhen started to set off. After leaving Lingtai Temple, he saw that there was no one to his left or right, and he immediately performed light energy and walked like flying. Not to mention, although this Qigong is not very good, the speed is quite impressive. When running, it feels like a car with a speed of 70 or 80 yards, and the jumping force is also very high. It can easily switch between trees and boulder hillsides. But in fact, Li Suingzhen knew clearly in his heart that the main reason was that his cultivation was very high, and he had reached 400 years of Taoism. As the so-called one power down 10 clubs. Even if the quality of his Qigong is not high, his vigorous cultivation can make him far superior to other people who use this kind of Qigong. Others may only be able to reach a speed of more than 20 yards when they perform this, which is similar to the speed of a normal person riding a bicycle, but because it is light work, it is not so tiring. With the help of walking like flying, Li Suingzhen trekked all the way, like a fairy walking on the wind, with fluttering clothes. After running for nearly 2 hours, he arrived at the mission location Qingjia village. Thanks to Qigong, you can fly over the eaves and walk the walls. The route should be as straight as possible. If you are driving, you will find your way in twists and turns. As soon as Li Suingzhen came to Qingjia village, he was warmly welcomed by the villagers. Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. In this world where there are evil spirits and demons, a righteous monk like Li Suingzhen always makes people feel at ease. Especially since he is also from Buddhism. However, because of his appearance, there are still some different eyes in the crowd. The teenage girl doll, shyly peeking at the beginning of her love affair. The 10-year-old aunt didn't have so many scruples, she kept halal seeds, her eyes were like a hungry wolf, and she could not wait to swallow Li Suingzhen alive. A monk can actually look so handsome. Oh, my Buddha, if he could win the favor of the master and escape into the empty door, he would be willing. Master is here, welcome master, we Chinjia village have been waiting for a long time. The one who spoke was the village chief of Chinjia village, a middle-aged uncle in his 40s. Li Suingzhen nodded. Although he was young, he was like a peerless monk. Where is the benefactor to be saved? Master is running all the way, do you want to eat some fast food first, take a rest, and then go to the extreme? No, just take me there. Okay. The village chief walked forward with Li Suingzhen and said, the one who needs to be spared is the richest man in our village, the daughter-in-law of Li Yuanwei's family. Because her husband found a second room in Shanghai City and didn't want her anymore, she was so angry that she jumped into the well in a red dress. I jumped into the well in the middle of the night, and when I pulled it up the next day, people were all swelled up. Oops, my mother, vomit. The village chief obviously thought of something bad, so he retched for a while, then patted his chest quickly, took a breath, and said again, these days, the members of the Li Yuanwei family have died of several young adults. If the other party is targeting the Li family, why don't they leave? Why didn't you leave? It's useless. In the early morning of the second day after the first person's accident, a young nephew of Li Yuanwei followed his daughter-in-law and went to her parents' house 20 miles away to avoid the accident, but guess what? That night, he was hanged in front of Li Yuanwei's house. These days, the Li family has also invited many mages, but none of them came out alive. Li Suingzhen sighed slightly, it seems that this ghost is very fierce. The two soon came to Li Yuanwei's mansion. There were 2 white lanterns hanging at the door, and some white paper money was sprinkled on the ground, which looked extraordinarily infiltrating. Master, it's here. I'll call someone. The village chief glanced at the mansion with some fear, and then shouted, Member Li, Master is here, why don't you come out to greet him? After a while, Li Yuanwei, who had a pair of panda eyes, walked out in a trance. Seeing Li Suingzhen, those red eyes almost cried. He staggered 2 steps, came to Li Suingzhen, and knelt down with a normal sound. Master, you have to save us. If this continues, our whole family will not be able to survive. Li Suingzhen said with relief, Amitabha, the donor need not worry. The village chief reminded, Member Li, why don't you invite the master in soon? Yes, master, please. Entering the courtyard, Li Yuanwei pointed to the morning hall and said with trembling, Master, she has been staying in the morning hall, we dare not go in. It's okay, you all wait here, the poor monk go in and have a look. Li Suingzhen stepped directly into the morning hall. Boom! Just as he stepped into the morning hall with his forefoot, in the next second, the door of the morning hall closed heavily on its own, causing everyone outside to shiver. Village chief, is this master good? Why do I see him as young? The village chief wiped the cold sweat from his forehead. It should be, no problem, right? Many masters have been practicing Buddhism since childhood. Although they look young, they should not be shallow. Inside the morning hall, the door was closed heavily, but Li Suingzhen was expressionless. With more than 400 years of Taoism, he has already seen through the tricks of the opponent. He came to the coffin and looked inside. A female corpse in red was lying quietly inside. I don't know if it's because of the long time, her swollen body has returned to normal, but in this June weather, after being dead for such a long time, there is no rancid smell, and there is a faint black air circling around her body. The resentment is too heavy. Tick, tick. 2 drops of cold water dripped from the beam of the house. There, standing upside down, was a woman in red with pale skin, a wet red dress and long black hair, which seriously violated the laws of gravity and appeared to float in the air, as if in water. Li Suingzhen raised his hand in front of his chest. Amitabha. Since the benefactor has passed away, he should go to the earth to be safe. Why should he be nostalgic for the mortal world? The female ghost came to her senses, turned her body in a circle, and slowly floated towards Li Suingzhen. Her pale face began to show hideousness. The little monk who is still young, also wants to come over to me? Who do you think you are? The surrounding air fluctuated with her mood, and it was a bit shady and cool. The tables, chairs, and benches even began to tremble slightly, but Li Suingzhen's expression remained unchanged. The person who bears you is your husband. Why should you implicate innocent people? If you kill them, the donor will also fall into the endless and suffer the punishment forever. Now it's too late to pull back from the precipice. Ha 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 ha. Chen Jinlian let out a sharp and wild laugh. The evil spirit filled the air, and the temperature in the whole room seemed to drop several degrees. I have been married to the Li family for 20 years, have children for the Li family, be filial to my parents-in-law, and teach my husband and children. My parents raised me for 17 years. I never did my filial piety. I came to Li's house to give everything, but in the end I was abandoned because of my old age. I admit it. But my uncle bullied me, my cousin peeped at my bath. Why don't you let them let me go? I kill them as they damn. I also want to kill everyone in the Li family, one a day, and let them live in fear forever, until the last one. Li Suingzhen sighed slightly. With a few words, he seemed to have understood the woman's grievances. Husband doesn't love. Clan bullying. Life is like a mustard. Powerless to go back to heaven. How sad and angry is this? So, honest people are in a hurry, no one should think about it better. Good and evil are rewarded, it is not that they are not rewarded, the time has not yet come. Since the person who should be killed has already been killed, let's stop it. Don't implicate innocent people. The poor monk will send you into reincarnation, and you can be a human again. Impossible. As I said, everyone in the Li family will die. If you dare to stop me, you will die. Inside the morning hall, a gust of wind suddenly erupted, the female ghost's teeth protruded, her 10 fingernails extended like steel claws, and it rushed towards Li Suingzhen. Nai Jia, still haven't woken up. Li Xian's heart was not in a hurry, he bound his hands inside, his index fingers were erect, and he used his thumbs to press the nails of his ring fingers, forming a single cobalt seal, and activated the unmoving King Ming's mercy rescue mantra. Nan, Sanman Duovajaluojan, fierce. As soon as the mark came out, the room was full of rays of light, and a supreme Buddha light slammed on the female ghost, instantly making the evil spirit on her body disappear without a trace, and the form of the violent female ghost also returned to a peaceful woman figure. Tears flowed down her face, and she was full of grief. Master, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. I was wrong. Li Suingzhen's eyes are clear. You lost your head before, but fortunately, you are killing people who deserve to be killed. If you kill innocent people again, you will be punished by heaven. If you don't move King Ming's mercy curse, you won't be able to save you. Go, this life is miserable to repay the debt, and the next life is determined to invest in the gate of happiness. In the next life, you will no longer be miserable. Chen Jinlian folded her hands together and made a deep bow. Master is very kind and virtuous, Jinlian will be born again, I will repay you by being a cow and a horse. You're welcome, the poor monk will save you. Master, wait a moment. What else do you have to say? Chen Jinlian bowed her head shyly. The little girl has never seen such a handsome man like Master in her life. Master, can you give me a hug? Li Suingzhen was stunned for a moment, pondered for a moment, and then slowly opened his hands. Chen Jinlian fell into his arms and hugged Li Suingzhen. Master, you are a good person. I hope that in the next life, I can turn into a piece of grass in front of the temple. I will be blown by the wind for 500 years, exposed to the sun for 500 years, and hit by the rain for 500 years. I listen to you chanting sutras and chanting Buddha every day. Li Suingzhen sighed. Namo Amitabha. Li Suingzhen folded her hands together, began to chant the mantra for rebirth, and sent Chen Jinlian into reincarnation. Chen Jinlian's body shone with golden light and then disappeared. Transcending the resentful spirit Chen Jinlian, merit plus 108. He actually got 108 merit points, but Li Suingzhen was not surprised, perhaps because he sympathized with Chen Jinlian's experience. People in the world say that the golden lotus is bad, and the great man is wronged. Unexpectedly, Li Jiadalan and Chen Jinlian turned the other way. The surnames are different, the difference in one word is the difference in fate. Afterwards, Li Suingzhen made a move with his right hand to collect the evil energy from Chen Jinlian's corpse into his cuff, and then opened the door and walked out. Li Yuanwei, the village chief and others were overjoyed when they saw that Li Suingzhen came out safe and sound. Grand Master. The first few were either killed or injured, but the master was able to come out unharmed. It's really powerful. Chen Jinlian has been saved by the poor monk. You can choose a good day, an auspicious day for her to be buried. When everyone heard this, they were even more happy. Master is really powerful. Foreign Minister Li Yuan breathed a sigh of relief. The haze of the past few days was instantly swept away. Jinlian, this child is also suffering. My Chen family can't help her. I hope she can find a good family in the next life. Master, this is the silver tail of Wen Yin. It's my Chen family's good silver. I will give it to the master as a gift box. The benefactor is very kind, and we will meet again if we have the predestined relationship. Master, walk slowly. Li Suingzhen saluted again, put on her bamboo basket, and left the Chen family. However, when he left the Chen family's ancestral house, Li Suingzhen let go of the evil spirit on his cuffs. Nan, Sanmenduovajaluajan, fierce. One move, King Ming's candid food curse, mixed with this evil energy, went straight to Canghai City. The injustice has its head, and the debt has its owner. All this was caused by Li Yuanwei's son. They were not killed by him, but because of him. Now that he has several lives on his back, and his karma is heavy, let him spend the rest of his life with thick sores. Life is better than death. Punish the scumbag, merit plus 44. Hearing this voice, Li Suingzhen was stunned for a moment, and then he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Originally it was something I did on the fly, but I didn't expect it to be a merit. But think about it carefully, punishing evil and promoting good is merit, and punishing evil is also merit. Li Yuanwei's son killed several people because of his for women's lust. It seems that the sage is right. Don't do good for small things, and don't do evil for small things. Namo Amitabha. Li Suingzhen said a Buddha's name, his mood suddenly brightened, and he continued to move forward. He didn't go back directly, and while he was outside the temple, he could practice the Fuedaming King mantra more. Fuedaming Wang mantra is divided into Fuedaming Wang mantra, Fuedaming Wang 9-character mantra, Cutting Sun formula, Fuedaming Wang Fire Realm mantra, Fuedaming Wang Subduing Curse, Fuedaming Wang Remnant Food mantra, Fuedaming Wang Mercy mantra, Fuedaming Wang King Ming praises, does not move the heart curse of King Ming. To activate the Undead King mantra, you need a unique mark and mantra. The imprints are divided into the immovable root imprints, the Duko imprint, the base hand imprint, the head imprint, the eye imprint, the mouth imprint, the heart imprint, the armor imprint, the lion's rush, the flame imprint, and the flame wheel stop. Each type of imprint has its own merits. Like the Duco seal, the hands are bound inside, the two index fingers are placed vertically together, and the two thumbs are pressed against the ring finger. And base Hanyin has become the two hands bound inward, and the two thumbs are placed in the palm. The head print is a Vajra fist with both hands, the right fist is raised, and the left fist is over it. There are endless changes between seal and seal, and their power and function are also different. So, if you want to learn, it's too hard, too hard. Many people may practice for 1,000 years before they can fully reach the state of great perfection. Fortunately, Li Suingzhen has the golden lotus of merit, otherwise it would take several years just to get started. Nan, Sanmanduovajaluojan, fierce. With the imprint and the mantra, Li Suingzhen activated the unmoving king fire mantra. In an instant, a huge flame blasted into the waterfall in front. Boom! With an explosion, the 100-meter-long waterfall was smashed by the waste, and the water mist filled the air. After a while, the half of the waterfall crashed down, causing another explosion. So strong! I am 400 years old now, I have only used 1/5 of my strength, but I can still exert such a great attacking power. It is indeed terrifying to not move the Mingwang curse. However, it is not only the cultivation base that determines the strength of the attack power, but at the same time, it is also necessary to distinguish the difference between the spell marks of the Mingwang mantra. The fire boundary charm itself is of an offensive nature. Compared with some marks, it is slightly better. The same cultivation base can exert more attack effects. I don't know, how powerful is the most powerful 9-character mantra to cut the sun in the Fudo Mingwang mantra? Li Suingzhen's eyes flashed with fiery heat, but he did not continue to practice, because the explosion just now made him discover that there was a familiar figure opposite the waterfall. It was the little fox that I had rescued before, and once fell into a trap. A little under his feet, he performed the basic light skills of Lingtai Temple and walked like a fly, and Li Suingzhen took off in an instant. He jumped over the 10-meter wide stream. Although it is a basic technique, Li Suingzhen's cultivation is too high. The fiery red little fox, with tears in her small dripping eyes, her right leg had been caught with blood from the clip, and she cried out in pain. Li Xian said gently, "Don't worry, I'll save you." He rescued the little fox, exuded the true energy of Buddhism, healed the little fox, and soon stopped the bleeding and scarring of her wounds and relieved the pain. The little fox made a cheerful sound, rubbing around Li Suingzhen's shoes. At this moment, Li Suingzhen's golden lotus of merit actually flickered. Saving the little fox, merit plus 17. Li Xian was stunned for a moment. A second rescue can also gain merit? Why does it feel like a card bug? He gently patted the little fox's head and said with a smile, "Why did you get caught again? Be more careful next time, and don't let anyone get caught again." The little fox nodded knowingly, then he let go, turned, and ran into the jungle. Li Suingzhen also carried the bamboo basket back to Lingtai Temple. Master Huihe was sitting at the gate. At this time, it was getting more and more west, and there were almost no pilgrims, and he rarely had a moment of leisure. Beside him, there was a little novice, who looked 16 or 17 years old, with red lips and white teeth, and he felt a little bit of an elegant little boy. "Hey, Xian Xin is back. Master." Li Suingzhen saluted, Huihe patted the little novice next to him. "Suan Mu, this is what I just told you, your senior brother Suingzhen." "Suingzhen, this is Suan Mu, who just came under my door today, he is your little junior brother." Xian Mu immediately got up and saluted Xian Xin. "Suan Mu has seen senior brother Suingzhen." Li Suingzhen said lightly, "Senior brother, you're welcome." Huihu interjected, "Suingzhen, your junior brother Suan Mu is a descendant of the Lin family in Canghai City. Because of a sudden change in the Lin family, he entered my empty door. Although he is your junior brother, his cultivation is not bad. He has been practicing Taoism for 10 years, and he will practice it in the future. You can also communicate with him more." Li Suingzhen nodded. "Master, junior brother Suan Mu, I still have to deliver the task, so I'll be one step ahead." "Okay, you can go to work first." Li Suingzhen gave Hu a salute, then walked to the merit box and put in the good money. He did not keep the silver ingot that Li Yuanhui gave him privately before, but also donated it to the merit box. However, the golden lotus of merit did not add merit to him. It seems that donating money to Buddhism will not bring merit. Only by doing good deeds for the heaven and earth, can you have the opportunity to increase the merit. Chanting sutras and chanting Buddha, eliminating the world's karma, is good. It is also good to save souls. These are to increase the good deeds between heaven and earth and maintain the righteousness. Donating money to Buddhism is only dedicated to Buddhism alone. Buddha leads people to goodness, but it is not goodness itself. It seems that the golden lotus of merit not only includes Buddhism. Does that mean that it can also practice the exercises of other sects? In the future, when I become stronger, maybe I can try it. With more than 100 points of merit, I can't make myself improve the unmoving king mantra. I'd better submit the quest first, and then go to receive some new quests. Coming to the task room, Li Suingzhen submitted the task. The disciple in charge of handling couldn't help but say in surprise, "Hey, junior brother Suingzhen, you did it so fast. It's the Buddha's blessing, luck is better. I want to take on some more tasks, it's better to take a few more at one time. There are quite a lot of tasks recently, but I don't recommend you to go out these 2 days." "Oh." Li Suingzhen was a little puzzled, and the other party explained again, "In the past 2 days, there will be chaos in the demon sect, and there will be risks for the disciples who go out." "Is that so? That's fine. Since there are risks outside, let's stay honest for 2 days. Anyway, I have endured it for half a year, and I am not in a hurry for this moment." When he had nothing to do, he came to the Tibetan Sutra Pavilion again. The book collection pavilion not only has exercises, but also some humanistic chronicles about the world. Living in this world, it is natural to know more about the things of this world. Just after arriving at the Kangjing Pavilion, Li Suingzhen saw Master Huineng again and explained it to the new disciples. He thought that Master Huineng might like the feeling of being worshipped by his disciples. These 3 gods have a long history. Their formation is also related to a shocking event 1,000 years ago. Legend has it that thousands of years ago, the 3 worlds of demons and ghosts invaded the human world, and the human world was defeated, and countless human races were slaughtered. History is called the Middle-earth Rebellion. At that time, the human race was weak, and some human races, in order to survive, chose to be the lackeys of the 3 realms and help the 3 realms slaughter the human race. We call them the 3 great demon sects, and they call themselves the 3 gods. This 3 gods sect is really a bunch of scum. That's right, let me meet the scum of the 3 gods sect, I have to beat them to death with Arhat. Everyone was filled with righteous indignation, and one of them, a little novice, couldn't help but ask, "But, why do people from the 3 gods sect kill our disciples at Lingtai Temple? If it is just to practice evil methods and need to kill people, there are too many people in this world, and there is more than one Lingtai Temple in the Buddhist section." "You asked a good question." Huineng spoke again. "The Middle-earth turmoil 1,000 years ago has devastated the human race. Finally, the Great Zhou court joined forces with various sects to suppress the forces of the 3 realms in an exotic space under the Blackwater River. The strength of the 3 realms was suppressed, and those demonic forces that depended on the 3 realms, without their backing, were suppressed or even eliminated. And the blood-evil ancestor among the 3 founding ancestors of the 3 gods sect was suppressed in my Lingtai temple. Therefore, the followers of the 3 gods sect will focus on our Lingtai temple. I heard that the other 2 sects that suppressed the ancestors of the 3 gods sect, the Infinite sect and the Tianjian sect, have also been killed recently. It is estimated that the disciples of the 3 gods sect did the same. It is very likely that they want to rescue the 3 ancestors. Then why don't you kill these 3 demon ancestors? If you kill them, won't you be fine? How can it be so easy? Master Huineng let out a long sigh. They are all peak masters who have cultivated the 3 ways of demon, and ghost, and have been personally guided by masters of the 3 realms. As long as they pass on the evil law, even if they die, as long as someone practices their evil law, they will never die. Kill them completely, but they may find themselves in other places. Only by suppressing their primordial spirits can they ensure that they will not escape. Hey! It's so terrifying. Therefore, my generation should diligently practice Buddhism. If the devil is lucky enough to be born in the future, he will also be able to do his best for the common people in the world. Hearing this, Li Suingzhen couldn't help but be startled by a storm. Unexpectedly, there is such a secret history in Dezhou. I have never read this in a book. Perhaps it was the Dezhou royal family who didn't want to magnify this matter so as to avoid panic among the people. However, Li Suingzhen heard something different from it. It is impossible for the disciples of the 3 gods sect to just save the 3 founding ancestors. Although the 3 of them are already big devils, their strength is not too evil, and they are definitely not comparable to the masters of the 3 worlds of demons, and ghosts. If it is filial piety, it is even more nonsense. The filial piety of the Mormons has not only deteriorated, I am afraid that all of them have become moldy and airdried. The reason why they wanted to rescue the 3 founding ancestors was to use them to break the seal of the Blackwater River and release the masters of the 3 realms. If this is the case, then this world will probably not be peaceful. It seems that I have to hurry up and improve my cultivation. For the next half a year, Li Suingzhen didn't dare to run around anymore, and kept practicing in meditation. Although Fudo Mingwang Sutra is already a great perfection and can be run by itself, but if it is to run in meditation, it will be faster than running it by itself. For more than half a year, Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com. Li Suingzhen's cultivation level increased every day, and finally, on this day, he successfully broke through the 1000-year cultivation level. River Realm. Achieved. Hey! He opened his eyes, exhaled a turbid breath, and there was a faint flash of purple lightning in his eyes. He clenched his fists and couldn't help but said excitedly, "Is this the Jianghe realm?" The infuriating energy in the body is like a river, flowing endlessly. It's really amazing. At this time, the excited voice of the master suddenly came from outside the door. "Suingzhen, come out quickly." Li Suingzhen walked out quickly. Master seems to have encountered something happy. "Ha ha ha ha, you little junior brother Suinmu, you are really a genius in practicing Buddhism. It only took more than half a year to learn the 10th level of the Dodo Mingwang Sutra. This result is enough to be regarded as the top 10 of the entire young generation of Lingtai Temple. Really the blessing of the Buddha." Li Suingzhen was a little surprised. He never thought that junior brother Suinmu would be so accomplished in Buddhism. Ordinary people practice the Sutra of the Unmoved King, and it is also from the shallower to the deeper. For example, it may take 10 days to cultivate on the first level, about 20 days from the second level to the third level, and 40 days from the third level to the fourth level. That is to say, the shorter the time spent cultivating the first level, the faster the later cultivation time will be. It is difficult for ordinary people to learn the first level within a month or 2. If they can learn the first level in 10 days and a half, it is basically not a problem to be a junior elder in a temple after a few decades. Like junior brother, who has cultivated to the 10th level in half a year, his comprehension is really not low. Blessed by the Buddha, our hospital finally has a genius, which is gratifying. Huihu nodded and then said, "Suingzhen, in the afternoon, a disciple came to inform me that tomorrow we will send 2 people from each of the academies to the forbidden area in the back mountain to sing the King Ming Sutra, assist the chairpersons, and repair the seal of the blood evil ancestor. When the time comes, you and your senior brother Xian Shui will go there together." Isn't the master coming over in person? Huihu shook her head. I asked the temple for a big repayment pill, and I'm going to give it to your junior brother to help him cultivate. Da Huan-dan, master, isn't this what you want to keep for yourself? Li Suingzhen was a little surprised. There are large and small alchemy pills in Buddhism, all of which are the best in medicinal pills. Small Huan-dan can increase your cultivation base and lifespan by 1 year, while big Huan-dan can increase your cultivation base and lifespan by 10 years. Both of these two medicinal pills require a certain amount of contribution to obtain. Small Huan-dan is better, many elite disciples can exchange it, but the demand for the exchange contribution of big Huan-dan is extremely high. Many elders can only accumulate enough contributions to exchange after spending their whole lives, and they can only exchange for one big Huan-dan. Therefore, these elders often keep the only great repayment pill in their lives for themselves. Unexpectedly, the master actually wants to give his big repayment pill to the younger brother. Huihu sighed deeply. My aptitude in this life is not good, and I have no hope in this life. I can only pin my hope on you disciples. Your junior and junior brothers have the best aptitude. I want to fight to see if I can send him to the Zen Heart Academy. It's a life in vain. The 4 major Buddhist sects all have their own key training institutes. The Shaolin Temple has the Bodhidharma Institute, the King Kong Temple has the Arhat Institute, the Bodhi Temple has the Huixin Institute, and the Lingtai Temple has the Zen Heart Institute. For Buddhist disciples, once you enter one of the 4 major courtyards, you can almost say that you are jumping from the Dragon Gate. Those disciples who can't even enter the 4 major courtyards, their cultivation in this life will hardly exceed 300 or 400 years of Taoism. It has always been Master Huihu's wish to train a disciple who will enter the Shangzhen Yuan. Suingzhen, do you think the master is a little biased? Master Huihu suddenly spoke, but Li Suingzhen shook his head. Master can only get one big repayment pill in his life. If he can get a few more, or if my qualifications are the best, he will definitely give it to me. Not to mention this, even if he didn't reveal his true strength, Huihu never missed him. He is a good teacher worthy of respect, but his strength is too weak, and he himself can't control some things. In addition, whether it's the Great Returning Pill or the Zen Heart Academy, Li Suingzhen can't see it anymore. Hearing this, Huihu breathed a sigh of relief. If you can think this way, you can rest assured as a teacher. In the future, there will be cultivation resources, and you and a few brothers will not be missing for a teacher. Go and rest. Yes. One night of meditation, another 2 years of Taoism. In the early morning, with the first ray of sunlight entering the window, senior brother Xian Shui knocked on his door. Junior brother Suingzhen, are you awake? Li Suingzhen got up and opened the door. Xian Shui said with a smile, Junior brother, it's time for us to go to the back mountain. Today, we will strengthen the seal of the blood evil ancestor. Li Suingzhen nodded and followed behind the tiger-backed senior brother. The two of them had completely different styles of painting. One is rough as a bear, the other is as graceful as a crane. When I came to Hushan, a large number of disciples from Lingtai Temple had already gathered here. Li Suingzhen and senior brother Xian Shui also found a futon to sit down, picked up the wooden fish in front of them and started knocking. Nan, Sanmendo. There are more and more disciples, and a few minutes later, hundreds of people have gathered. The sound of everyone chanting the scriptures turned into golden swastika characters, and finally formed a huge swastika in the sky, and slowly rotated, releasing the power of peace and tranquility to suppress evil. Several eminent monks who presided over the seal also began to cast the Fudo Mingwang mantra to strengthen the already weakened seal. Li Suingzhen noticed that their cultivation was in the Jianghe realm, and the unmoving King Ming mantra they practiced had already reached the level above the 30 or 40 layers, but for some reason, he always felt that the unmoving King Ming mantra they were casting is not much stronger than the Fudo Mingwang curse that he casts. Could it be that the power of the Fudo Mingwang mantra has something to do with the Fudo Mingwang Sutra? The opponent's cultivation base is hundreds of years more than his own, and the Fudo Mingwang mantra is 20 to 30 layers higher, but the difference in the power of everyone is not very big. The only thing that can help him improve his strength is only 108 layers. The immovable Mingwang Sutra of the Great Perfection Realm is gone. So, if you raise a few more levels of the Fudo Mingwang mantra, will you be able to tie with these hospital hosts? From this point of view, does it mean that you have the strength to fight beyond the ranks? This was a new discovery, which made Li Suingzhen feel a lot happier. However, at this moment, a mutation arose. At the seal, a blood-colored evil spirit suddenly burst out, and the surrounding air instantly became icy cold. All the hosts, their expressions changed suddenly. Not good. This demon, he wants to break the seal and rush out. Go and ask other brothers and sisters to help. It's too late, the ancestor of the blood fiend came well prepared. Such a situation has not happened in the past few hundred years. He must have accumulated strength for hundreds of years and planned for a long time, just for today, breaking the seal in one fell swoop. I didn't expect this old demon to be so forbearing, but today, we must not let him break the seal, otherwise it will definitely cause life to be ruined. Seeing that the seal was about to be broken, Yu read www.yuuganshu.com. Li Suingzhen quietly ran the 108th floor unmoving King Ming Sutra, and in an instant, the swastika Buddha seal on the sky suddenly expanded, and golden light radiated everywhere. With the blessing of this golden light, the hosts have increased their strength, and instantly repaired and strengthened the suppression of the seal that they wanted to break. Before the seal was completed, everyone vaguely heard a roar. Ah, you gang of thieves! One day, this seat will definitely slaughter Lingtai Temple with blood, and kill all you thieves and bald asses. Use your blood to restore this seat to the peak of cultivation. In the end, everything turned to silence. The hosts couldn't help wiping the sweat from their foreheads. Amitabha, how good is good? Just now is really dangerous. If it weren't for the last moment, the surrounding Buddha's power suddenly increased, we are afraid that we really have no way to take this demon. But, why did the Buddha's power suddenly increase in the end? Who did it? In Lingtai Temple, there are very few people who can do this. Everyone looked at each other. Just now, because it was too dangerous, no one had time to pay attention to why the Buddha's power suddenly increased. Now, where do they go to perceive each other? You said, could it be a year ago that the senior who learned the Great Perfection Realm of Unmoving King Ming Sutra took action? A host couldn't help but express his guess. Maybe it's him. Apart from him, if our fellow apprentices take action, they won't be invisible. Senior is really a sage. You don't need to come forward, you can easily help us and suppress the blood evil ancestor. I am afraid that his cultivation has reached the peak. Everyone was overwhelmed with emotion, but Li Suingzhen's expression was indifferent, not shocked by insults. Not long after, the hosts announced the end of the seal, and everyone left the stage one by one. After Li Suingzhen left the stage, he and his senior brother Xian Shui came to the Tibetan Sutra Pavilion. In the past 6 months, his cultivation has improved a lot, and his merit has also improved a lot. The magic cultivators outside should have settled down a lot. It's time to learn something and then go on a mission. Otherwise, how can I improve the Unmoving King mantra? However, Lingtai Temple is a Buddhist holy place, and there are not many large-scale tasks around. Perhaps, I should consider going out for a tour. This will give you more merit points. Otherwise, when will you be able to get enough merit points to fill the Fufa Mingwang mantra? Not to mention, I also want to learn the magic skills of other monasteries Tathagata God Palm, Thousand Hands Tathagata. After the two arrived, they heard Master Huineng telling a story to the disciples again. The talent list records the people with the highest talent and the strongest comprehension among all the sects on the rivers and lakes. Under the age of 40, the stronger the strength, the younger the person, the higher the ranking. So far, the talent list has changed from generation to generation, but as long as someone has been on the talent list, they will definitely make a name for themselves in the history of the world. Because of their aptitude, they are destined to be extraordinary. Hey! It's so powerful! Does our Lingtai temple have anyone on the talent list? Hehe, our Lingtai temple, as one of the 4 major Buddhist sects, naturally has it. He is Suankuo, who has entered the Zen Heart Institute and has been practicing for more than 20 years, and is your senior brother. He is 9 out of 30 now, but his strength has reached the 980-year-old Dao Xing, ranking 19th on the talent list. There are 2 or 3 others, and the rankings are relatively low, so there is no need to elaborate on them one by one. Hey! My God, senior brother Suankuo has achieved more than 980 years of Taoism, and he can only be ranked 19th. How monstrous must he be in the top 10 of the talent list? That's natural. Those who can get on the talent list are all amazing and brilliant. Especially the top 10, in a sense, they have completely separated us from ordinary cultivators. Limit. Take Tianjianmen Ji Tiandao as an example. He is also 39 years old this year, but he has occupied the top of the talent list for many years. The second was Ji Tianlin of the Infinite Sect, 34 years old, with a cultivation base of 2,320 years of Taoism. The third-placed goddess, Bai Mixu, is 31 years old this year, and her cultivation base is already 1900 years old. When everyone heard this, they couldn't help but feel a shock, and they were dumbfounded, as if they were listening to a book from heaven. It should be noted that the cultivation speed of a normal person can be considered to be very good if he can cultivate for 10 years in a year. Ordinary elders like Huihu and Huineng have practiced for 100 years, and some even have only 100 years of Taoism, and some better ones may have 200 or 300 years of Taoism. It is said that the masters in the temple have practiced for hundreds of years, but they are only 1,000 years of Taoism. It is said that the only person in the temple who has stepped into the sky is Master Abbot, but Master Abbot, who has practiced for more than a few hundred years, is still under the circumstance of his extraordinary talent. Ordinary people can't even reach the cultivation realm of elders like Huihu and Huineng in their lifetime. And now, when they hear that some people who are not very old, but only in their 20s and 30s, there are people who have broken through to 2,000 or 3,000 years of cultivation. This is simply unimaginable for them. Are they still human? Li Suingzhen was also slightly surprised. He never imagined that there are so many geniuses in this world. But if you think about it carefully, there are so many people in the world, and you are not alone. But he doesn't need to care too much. Although these people have strong cultivation, they are all older than him. Another very important point is that they have only been in the Dao for 1 year. They may have been in the Dao since they were 8 or 9 years old, or even in their early 10 years. Therefore, it is equivalent to comparing a 1-year-old baby with a group of teenagers in their 10s and 20s. He has cultivated for more than 1,100 years. In fact, his speed is much faster than theirs. Not to mention that when his age catches up with them, even if he is before the age of 30, his cultivation will probably be able to break through the 4,000 years of Taoism. Therefore, when Li Suingzhen looked at them, he could look at them with a normal heart, and he didn't need to look at them as if they were exiled from heaven like other people. He looked at some precautions when traveling outside, such as the price of room and board in various places, customs, where to visit Buddha, and where there are more monsters. Since it is to go out to save and accumulate merit, then of course it is to go to places where demons and beasts are more weird. It's always good to know in advance. Hey, junior brother Suan Mu, you are here too. Xian Shui, who was reading a book, suddenly saw Xian Mu and greeted him with a smile. However, Xian Mu just glanced at Xian Shui lightly, nodded slightly, then turned around and left. Li Suingzhen's eyelids moved slightly. Everyone is a senior brother. As a senior brother, although his cultivation base is not high, he has always taken good care of everyone. This Suan Mu, although his aptitude is good, his temperament, seems to have pulled his hips a bit. The simple and honest Xian Shui didn't think so much, but said enviously, I heard that junior brother Suan Mu has passed the preliminary examination of Shangzhenyuan, and joining Shangzhenyuan is a sure thing. The younger brother is now in his early stage. He has entered the Zen Heart Academy and has the lowest achievement in the future. He is also an elder. It is said that before he entered the temple, the whole family was beheaded by demon cultivators. Now that he has entered the Zen Heart Academy, his parents, if they know about it under Juquan, can rest their eyes. Li Suangzhen was silent, although he heard from his master that something happened to Suan Mu's house before he entered Lingtai Temple, but he did not expect it to be so miserable. It's just that there is a deep hatred in the sea of blood, little junior brother, can you really let it go? And after Suan Mu walked out of the Tibetan Sutra Pavilion, there was a hint of confusion in his eyes. It's weird, why do I feel like Suangzhen sees something? After a while, he shook his head again. I should have thought about it too much. He's just a piece of shit. How could he see it? I'd better hurry up and prepare. As long as tonight is over, everything will be a foregone conclusion. The corner of Suan Mu's mouth raised a wicked smile, and quickly disappeared from the Tibetan Sutra Pavilion. After reading the book for a while, Li Suangzhen and Xian Shui said goodbye and went to the front hall to find a master. He was unblocking someone, and the one who unsigned at the moment was an old man. Master, I came all the way here just to figure out where my son is. He hasn't come home for 3 years. Is he still alive now? After Hu made some calculations, she immediately said, Your son, you have made a fortune overseas, and you will be back soon. I want to take you to enjoy the glory and wealth. Really? Master. Amitabha, monks don't lie, and poor monks naturally won't lie. Thank you master, thank you master. The old man kowtowed towards Hu again and again, and Yu reading www.yuyuganshu.com immediately took out 2 copper plates that had been polished with sweat from his chest and devoutly stuffed them into the merit box. Bless the Buddha. He bowed to the Buddha, and then leaned on a wooden stick and trembled down the mountain. Li Suangzhen stepped forward and joked, Master, monks don't lie. In front of the Buddha, you have violated the precepts. Hu glanced at Li Suangzhen and scolded with a smile, You stinky brat, your hair hasn't even grown yet, but you have taught your master a lesson. After laughing and cursing, he spoke again with emotion. This old man has a hard life, and he came to Lingtai Temple all the way to get a hope. I figured that his son had already passed away early. If he told the truth, it would be too cruel to make him despair. Therefore, deceive him once and give him some hope. In a sense, this is not a deception to me, because he may have already guessed it in his heart, but he is unwilling and afraid to believe it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be here. Li Suangzhen nodded. Buddhism is not a sage, and it is impossible not to lie completely. As long as the purpose of lying is not to harm others, but to help others, why not? If you stick too much to the rules of the scriptures, but you lose your kindness and become a ruthless machine just for cultivating scriptures, then you put the cart before the horse. Cultivation means cultivating the mind, and having good intentions in the heart is the only way to become a Buddha. By the way, Master, I have something I want to tell you. You say. There is very little that needs to be spared near Lingtai Temple. I want to go out for a few years and see the outside world. Are you going to travel? Hu was a little surprised. That's right. The disciples are stupid and can't understand the things in the scriptures, so I can only go out to learn more and improve my mood. Hu nodded. Also, after all, reading 10,000 volumes of books is not as good as traveling 10,000 miles. However, you should stay in the temple for the past 2 days. Speaking of which, Hu narrowed her eyes and smiled, Your little junior brother has been selected into the Chan Heart Institute. So fast. This time, it was Li Suingzhen's turn to be surprised, but he was pretending. His cultivation is too high, and has already surpassed Master Huihe by several times. Junior brother Suinmu's cultivation base, he can see it at a glance. As long as he judges according to the rules of entering the Shangzhen Yuan, it is easy to judge. However, my little old man is rarely happy once, so he always has to cooperate with him to perform. Huihu nodded and said excitedly, "Yeah, even I didn't expect that your little brother's speed is so fast. I'm satisfied that he can stand on the ground in Shangzhen Yuan. In the future, even if I'm gone, someone will be able to take care of your brothers and sisters. So as not to be bullied." Li Suingzhen nodded. He didn't care about Suinmu, but the master was very good to him, so Li Suingzhen naturally couldn't care less about the master's feelings. As for letting the younger brother take care of them, that's fine. Li Suingzhen remembered his performance today, and felt a little uneasy in his heart. It was night. In the forbidden area behind Lingtai Temple, a sudden exclamation erupted. "Suinmu! You wicked beast, you actually mixed into the devil's way, trying to let go of the blood evil ancestor. How can you be worthy of the cultivation of your master, Huihu? Huihu, that old bald donkey, a mere waste, how can he be my master? There is only one who can be my master, and that is the blood evil ancestor." When the words fell, Suinmu crushed the opponent's spine with one claw. He didn't kill the opponent directly, because the blood evil ancestors needed the blood of living people to be able to erupt into a more powerful cultivation. He wants to sacrifice it to the ancestor of the blood evil. As long as I rescue Shizun and learn his old man's blood demonic art, my cultivation will soar rapidly, and I will avenge my relatives. Dad. Mother. Younger sister. You wait, kill your enemies, and I won't let any of them go. When the words fell, he immediately cast his magic power and began to break the seal. With his strength, it is naturally impossible to completely break the seal, but he only needs to break a small gap, so that the blood evil ancestor can absorb the blood of this monk. He can activate his magic power, and then break it from the inside. Seal. With the explosion of his magic power, a corrosive sound soon appeared on the seal, and a burst of blood began to emerge. "It's almost done." Suinmu was overjoyed, but at this moment, a group of monks suddenly passed by. "What are you doing?" The monk whose spine was crushed by Suinmu immediately used all his strength and shouted loudly, "Suinmu, the disciple of Elder Huihu, fell into the devil's way, killed his fellow disciples, and tried to save the ancestor of Susha. Come on! Damn!" Suinmu roared angrily and shattered the opponent's throat with one foot, then turned around and ran away. The monks of Lingtai Temple have already gathered, and if he doesn't run away, he has to explain that he is here, or hide first and wait for the opportunity. The whole Lingtai Temple was in chaos, and everyone was shouting to catch Suinmu. In Huihu courtyard, the master and apprentice got dressed and got up one after another. "Master!" Xian Shui shouted, but Huiju said with a cold expression, "You wait here, don't run around." After speaking, he jumped and disappeared into the darkness. Li Suingzhen's eyes moved slightly as he quietly exited. Suinmu also bombarded and killed 2 disciples of Lingtai Temple and escaped over the wall. Just as he turned out of the wall, his body suddenly froze, and he looked indifferently ahead. Standing in front of him is none other than his master Huihu. Huihu clenched her fists tightly, her eyes were like ice, and she stared straight at Suinmu. "Why are you doing this?" Suinmu snorted coldly. "My whole family was murdered, and the blood has a deep hatred, and I have to avenge it. So you invested in the magic way. Not bad. Although Lingtai Temple's exercises are good, the practice is too slow. When I succeed in my practice and want to take revenge, the enemy will probably die of old age. Only Shizun's blood evil magic art can make me take revenge quickly." Huihu's heart trembled. He actually called the blood fiend ancestor a master. Then, what is he? At this moment, his heart seemed to be gouged out with a knife. The heart-piercing pain caused the old monk to gushing blood in his throat, but he was forcibly suppressed by his cultivation. "Get out of the way. For the sake of you giving me a big repayment pill, I can spare you and not die." Sun Mu spoke again, but Hu said with a cold expression, "It was me who was blind and mistrusted you. But you were brought up by me. I will never let you go down the mountain and endanger the world. Oh, there is a way to heaven and you won't go. If that's the case, then don't blame me for being rude." Sun Mu suddenly exerted his power and his aura exploded, and Hu was suddenly shocked. "Sun Mu's strength has exceeded 200 years. How can your cultivation be so strong?" Sun Mu smiled proudly. "This is the power of the blood demonic art. It is a real divine artifact with 10 years of cultivation compared to your great breaking pill." The two palms each other, the air waves are flying, and the explosions are repeated, and the shock wave pushes them back at the same time. Sun Mu spat. "Old bones, it's quite hard to chew." When the words fell, he bullied himself up again. Hu used Arhat fist, and the two fists collided, but this time, Sun Mu only made a false move. When the two approached, he suddenly spit out a mouthful of blood foam, condensed with true energy, and formed a blood arrow in the air, approaching Huihu's face. "Not good." Huihu's expression changed, and he immediately blocked it with his hand. The blood arrow was so powerful that it pierced a hole directly in his palm and bruised his temple. The severe pain caused him to reveal his flaws. Sun Mu kicked his foot and kicked him in the chest, sending the blood spurting out of him. The rib on his chest also made a crackling sound, which was probably broken. Sun Mu wanted to continue to step forward to make up for the knife, but at this moment, an electric light shot, a sense of crisis erupted, Sun Mu's pupils tightened, and he quickly dodged. But he was still a step too late. Pfft! With a dull sound, one of his arms was cut off on the spot. Sun Mu turned around and glanced out of the corner of his eye, feeling his scalp tingling. It turned out to be a green leaf. A green leaf cut off one of his arms. It is the eminent monk of Lingtai Temple. Damn it! Run away! He didn't dare to shoot at Huihu again, he directly fled into the darkness and ran down the mountain. In the darkness, the wind was blowing, and the surrounding trees and grasses all retreated rapidly, and the sound behind him was getting farther and farther away, making Sun Mu's tense heart finally relieved. It's really a big loss this time, just a little bit. But soon, he laughed wickedly. It doesn't matter, anyway, I have already put that person on the formation, the blood evil ancestor should have been devouring his blood. As soon as the voice fell, his body suddenly slowed down, and he slowly took 2 steps to release his speed. After stabilizing his body, his face was cold, and his eyes were fixed on a figure slowly walking down the mountain. Who is it? A gust of breeze blew, and the moonlight shone into the jungle and reflected on the figure. Wearing a white monk's robe, his face is handsome, and his temperament is detached, like a true Buddha in the world. It's you. Sun Mu couldn't help his pupils shrink for a moment. He couldn't believe it, it was his senior brother Li Suingzin. Li Suingzin looked at him indifferently. You should never should not attack the master. Sun Mu smiled disdainfully. I work in Sun Mu, why should I explain it to you, you bastard? Li Suingzin stopped talking too much nonsense and stepped forward. Sun Mu sneered coldly, and also threw out an Arhat fist. I don't know whether to live or die, my punch has been in the way for nearly 100 years, can you stop it? Li Xian was not in a hurry, and he also punched. The 2 fists collided, and in an instant, a monstrous force blasted out from Li Suingzin's fist, blasting Sun Mu's punching arm on the spot, and the punching wind slammed him into 10 meters behind him, smashing the ground into a huge pit. I'm sorry, my punch is 1,000 years of Taoism. Pfft! Sun Mu spat out a mouthful of blood, and looked at Li Suingzin in disbelief. With one punch, his arm exploded, and all the bones in his body were shattered. If it weren't for the fact that his cultivation base has broken through 100 years of Taoism and his vitality is stronger, he would have died directly now. This, how is this possible? You actually hid your strength. Could it be, that green leaf just now, it was you who shot? Li Suingzhen's expression was indifferent. Good and evil will pay off in the end. I can understand if you want to take revenge, but the master treats you like flesh and blood. How is it different from a demon if you do this? Sun Mu became angry with shame. Xiao Ti is pretending to be a good person there. You are strong, of course you can't understand me. If I have your strength, naturally I won't hurt him. Extremely ridiculous. Li Suingzhen doesn't think it's wrong to have no strength, and wants to gain strength, but there is no basis for harming people who are good to him, his master. Humph. It's up to now, no matter what you say. The ancestor of the blood evil is about to break the seal, and he will definitely slaughter a lot in Lingtai Temple. I see if you can beat him. If you can't beat it, just wait to die. When the words fell, an extremely terrifying momentum clearly erupted on Lingtai Mountain. Sun Mu looked up to the sky and laughed loudly. I'm waiting for you in hell. Ha 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 ha. It's hopeless. Li Suingzhen shook his head, then put his palms together, unable to recite the King Ming Sutra. Sun Mu glanced dismissively. It's in vain. Even if you have 1,000 years of Taoism, so what? Lingtai Temple has thousands of years of Taoism experts, but who can resist the ancestors of the blood evil to leave the customs? Your death is a note.